you're on deck and now it's like the pressure is just building. How do you handle that pressure? And I mean, my biggest thing is obviously each person is different in how they handle it. And I think understanding their psyche, granted, most of you are not PhDs, with these psych degrees, and you shouldn't have to be. But I do have to say that if you can understand what gets them to, first of all, get motivated, but also just really like believe in themselves and get going and just like, yeah, let's get this. Just being a teammate, I was never a coach, but as a teammate and as someone that believed to be a leader on a team, I had to like understand 18 different personalities. And it was a freaking grind because some were super sensitive. And if you said a peep after they struck out, they'd cry. Others, like, you had to smack them on the butt and be like, oh, like, what are you doing? Pull your head out. Like, really motivate them. And I'm sure you guys know this more than me as coaches, that you can't cookie cutter coach your team. Like, every individual is so different. And so, Lori, I mean, I feel like it's such a good question because I feel like, honestly, even Mike Candrea would say this about the Olympic team. So this was a team that obviously everyone was motivated, everyone was talented, but oh my gosh, he was like, I am 80% just trying to understand the psyche and the mindset. And then know tomorrow it can completely change. So once you understand someone, they could show up in 2 days and you're like, what happened to Jess? Like, where'd she go? So I think that's probably the biggest thing is really, I feel for you guys because I do feel like coaching, especially now, because there's so much more parent involvement. And I mean, we could go on for days, right, about just the different psyche of where these athletes are at. But I feel for you because honestly, part of the job description is a psychologist. It is understanding their mind and the best way that you're equipped to do that. When really, I know in your heart, it's like, I'd really just like to teach them how to hit a drop ball. If we could focus on that today, that'd be awesome. But instead, I really believe that you have to understand them and just really what gets them, and not be afraid to get on some of them. Of course, that's where I think the parent gets easy, but I think some of them do respond, and then other ones you gotta maneuver your way
Lori,
into their
one
mind.
thing that has helped me, and I've been tremendously lucky, is I have 2 ex-college players coaching for me. And it's a lot easier for Natalie Peters to tell my outfielders the best way to do something because she just got through playing 4 years at Michigan, where I never played outfield at Michigan, So it's something that they can buy into a lot more. And, the same thing with Lauren had played at Ohio. So, she knows, she calls all the pitches and works with the pitchers and catchers, and it's a lot. And then there's just the woman thing, there's stuff that I can't deal with.
I kind of have that part down.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's not a problem. But for a guy, we can't, there's some things I just say, Lauren, go deal with that because I can't handle it. That's not me.
Well,
so it really helps to have.
It doesn't even matter sometimes, even as a woman. It's like you look at them, you're like, where did that come from? Because I just, so don't always take it like you're a man and you don't understand. Sometimes I don't understand either, and that makes it difficult.
I'm like,
so true.
But yeah, I try to bring in other, alumni that have gone to the next level or other coaches that I've spoken with, and they've, got me in touch with other people. I try to bring it in because it's like a mom and dad thing. Kids don't listen to mom and dad, but they'll listen to the neighbor down the street. And so I try to do that. And it does make a difference.
True.
Well, I also got.
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I that I have the 2 coaches too that played in college, and we sometimes sit in the dugout afterwards going, and even they're like, where did that come from? And they're like, we literally just had to shut down practice because a boyfriend broke up with one of the players. I mean, so there's so, because if one's down, all of them are down, so you're right. That whole psychologist and so it's crazy.
That's what you mentioned. Don't deal with them. I can't deal with that. You go deal with that.
One thing you mentioned was, and you can see on your screen, we're like 90%, old guys out here. So, and and we're trying, I know I'm trying my best to recruit female coaches to help with my staff, but it's just been a struggle. And I mean, I know I can speak for a lot of the coaches that, it's just hard to find and keep female coaches. They may join for 1 or 2 years. We talked about this before in retention. They'll coach for 1 or 2 years and they go on with their lives. And it's just hard keeping female coaches developing so that want to be high school coaches. And is there anything we could do better to keep these, college graduates around so they stick around and become high school coaches?
Pay them more.
Well, pay them something. Yeah, but
well, they get on with it. They come in young and then they get on with their lives. I've had a lot of my kids come back and coach with me, and then they go to nursing school, and then after a couple of years they're gone to that, or they have a kid, or they get married, they move. So it's really just hard to keep them. It's not a career thing,
I do think it's also a vicious cycle sometimes of, seeing it to be it. I was coached by all men my whole life. My dad, Darwin, was my high school coach. My college coach was John Rittman. My Olympic coach was Mike Candrea. And I think that's what's, getting better with assistants. And some of you have mentioned, like, just having like women on your staff. Like, when I grew up, it was like coaching was never something I thought about, even though my dad did it, because you had to see women doing it. And I call the Women's College World Series every year. We have a lot of female coaches, but we always kind of, of the 8 teams that are there, I'd say over half, almost every time, are coached by men. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, you have to be able to see it more and more and more, so that when you're thinking about what do I want to do, like some 2-year portion, but this is a life commitment that I want to make. I want to commit. Like, you have to have that love and that passion and that drive, because when you guys are up against it, like, it's such an awesome job, but oh my gosh, like, you are dealing with so many different things other than coaching, that at the end of the day, like, you have to be like, I love this. I love coaching so that I can deal with all the other stuff. And I just see that with a lot of young girls, and it's gotten so much better. But I think you guys are doing the ones that are saying, like, even just having guest speakers, like a female assistant coach. It's important for these girls to see strong women. It just is. And that's, I think, how then you get them after they go to college or wherever they go to come back. Because when they were 13, 14 years old, they saw a strong woman in front of them and were like, whoa, I want to do that. I want to be that. And then it just puts that feed in their head instead of whatever else they're seeing on TV, or which is like, just a handful of jobs.
Yeah. So what's one thing that we can tell them that you told us when they go up to hit, because you're, such a great hitter anyway. So not mechanics, nothing. What's the one mindset that we can tell them that Jessica Mendoza told us this, so you got to do it?
Well, my mindset, I don't know if you can tell them this because it has kind of a bad word in it, but I don't know if I'm going to offend anyone, but
all right.
I literally
I think
would
you're good with this group.
I would stare down the pitcher, and not in I was never like but I had this self-talk that was usually on deck about just more preparation. Like, I always talk to hitters before me, or, any chart work, coach, whatever. But right before I got in the batter's box, I would look at the pitcher and literally believe with all of me. And this is where it does take practice, because you can't find it out of nowhere. I would believe with all of me as I looked at her, and literally would say to myself, to her, but not out loud, bitch, you're going down. And it would actually make me kind of calm down, because it was almost kind of funny to me too, just like that total confidence that really you just don't hear female athletes say. And I didn't say it out loud. I just would say it in my head. And I would look at her, and I just, even if she struck me out the last 2 at bats, like, I'd get back in that batter's box and I'd be like, girl, no, pitch me that rise ball again. Do it. Come on. I dare you. And swing and miss. Get back in the batter's box. So that's what you have to address when you practice it, is the fact that there will be failure. Like, you're going to say that, and then you might go down. So, like, how do you practice that? Okay, I fell back up. And just that feeling where it'll never go away of the thought of, I am better than you, and believing it with every ounce of you. And that's, I mean, that was me. I'm competitive. Like, it's me versus her. This wasn't like I just want to get a hit just to help my team. It's like, no, I want to win. And I want you to lose. Straight up. And that's just how I competed. And I'm not going to lie, I struggled a long time in my career because going into the batter's box, my mindset was more of, should I swing at that pitch? Or, she has a really good rise ball. Maybe I shouldn't swing at that. The doubt and the questions were actually in my head as I entered the batter's box. And it was such a game changer when I learned how to really have self-talk that wasn't just on autopilot. Like, well, just tell yourself to be confident. Okay, I'm confident. Get in the batter's box. No, feel it. Like, feel that. And start with when you're on a tee and pretend you're facing Kat Osterman, or you're facing a division pitcher that you're playing against. Picture her, and you're on a tee and you're looking at her and you're going to take her down. And then that's the mindset you have to like feel when you're in a batter's box, and it can't change.
All right.
Can I jump in
I'll see
again?
if it works.
That's a good one. Can I jump in again?
Go ahead, Chris.
So, that's good shit right there. I know you dropped a few 4-letter words, so I'm going to do that. I'm from New York.
You're all good.
What I'm hearing a lot here, a little bit, right, is the difference between female athletes and male athletes. Not maybe so much directly, but subliminally. If I look back at your history that you told us about, raised by your dad, so you had early exposure to the male, or I should better say the highly competitive male athlete. You've gotten a lot more of that in the last several years working on that side, right, with all those baseball guys. There's a lot of data out there that says girls and boys play for different reasons, right? And this is why I think guys, at least in my experience, they're easier to coach. I coach a bunch of baseball players, and I could smack them upside the head today. They're going to forget about it tomorrow. Girls are going to take everything personally. There's a lot of things going on, right? But the question is, there's a lot of data that says girls play, but guys play to win. Guys play to win. Girls usually don't play to win. Winning is maybe number 4 on the depth chart. They play to be loved and valued by their teammates. Now, the question I've always had is, what if we did those studies at the Division I level? What if we did it at the pro level? What if we did it at the Olympic level? What if we did it at your level, right? When you're talking, you sound like a guy in a lot of ways. You sound like a baseball player. So for all of us, all of you guys that I don't know, you're coaching mostly high school players. Some of you may do club ball. It's going to the dynamic will change a little bit, right? We may go up a few notches, but
Not really.
But what can we take, or what can you give all of these guys from all these coaches from your experience on how to deal with that kid that we see every day on the field at high school, for example, where, hey, winning's maybe not at the top of my list?
Yeah, I mean, that's to me, I have 2 boys and a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. And this transcends gender. And I think a lot of it does. I like to make that comparison just because I feel like culturally and societally, there are different expectations on gender. And so that like is what kind of happens sometimes, is how you act. I feel like until Serena Williams came along and was just like cramming tennis balls down people's butt and didn't feel bad about it, like that's the first time I really saw somebody not be afraid to have the like, bitch, you're going down mentality out loud. But as far as an athlete not having that desire to win, because my boys, like my 10-year-old, I struggle with, because he's just like, win, lose, like he's there for the social, like he just wants to be friends with everybody, and I'm just like, no, we're here to win. Like, you can talk to Billy after the game, but you're not talking to Billy during the game. Like, you can punch Billy during the game, but we're not going to talk to him during the game. I think that is a what's inside of you thing that you can't teach. And I hate saying that. Maybe you can, and maybe some of you guys have that answer. I do think getting into the psyche, you can find different parts of that in the individual, but at least what I'm learning as a parent is that you can't teach competitiveness. You can't teach that like fire to win. I have a sister that's 2 years younger than me. She played at Oregon State. She was that player that was like, I'm happy to be here. Like, she had an option in her 5th year because she had a record with Tom John's surgery to play. And she was like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm going to move on. And I was like, you have a skull spine. I'm good. We're both raised in the same household, same dad, same mom, everything, you know, and 2 very different people. So I know that's not the answer you're looking for, but I'm learning, even as a parent, I have tried everything with my kids, like yelling, like more drill work, like talking to them about being competitive. They've got like uber competitive right in front of them every day as an example. They're going to be who they are. And sometimes I just feel like and I feel like it's more and more athletes that just especially some of the good ones, they don't have that same desire to win. They're there because their parents want them to be there. They're there for a variety of different reasons. So anyway, I trust me, I wish I had the formula, and one of you might, and there might be someone out there that does, but for me, I'd love to get it if you guys do, because I've got 2 boys right now. My younger one is super competitive. He like headbutts walls and he'll do anything to win. He's a little tank and he's in kindergarten, but my 10-year-old is, and he's so talented, but he is just like, whatever. It drives me crazy.
But he is only 10, so it might change.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. I just, as far as pushing the button, like what can I do to get him? I feel like I've tried everything, and I've had him around MLB guys and had them talk to him, and I mean, he's been in clubhouses and he's been around everyone, and he could, like, he's just like, whatever, Kyle Schwarber, like Aaron Judge, like literally he was around Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge was like, you want my autograph? And he's like, no, I'm good. Just didn't, like,
Oh my God. So going back what you guys said, you guys have all had these teams. There are some teams that girls that they just don't care. They're like, oh, we won. Okay, we're out of here. And then you have some teams where your girls are pissed when they lost. And it just comes and goes. I mean, every kid is different. I know I've gone through it with different teams. Like my team currently now, they were pissed that their last game was a loss before this whole coronavirus thing hit. And there was a team 2 years ago where we were just like, hey, it's okay. We'll see you at school tomorrow. Who's going to this or who's going to that? I'm like, oh my God, it was irritating. But it does happen. Every girl, every player is different.
I do think, Juan, that like peers do make a difference. Like that's something I do notice, and you guys notice this. You can get like a really great leader that flips that for the rest of the team, that all of a sudden they're competitive because that, you know, and with women, it's like they want to be like the cool girl. They want to be like whoever is leading them. And that's the influence of your peers, and more so the other way, right? You get the bad seed that's just incredibly popular and the girls just follow her. And the next thing you know, your whole team is just bad attitudes and bad overall. I've been on those teams where we've had just our leader, or you take literally one person can totally turn your team. And I see that too, actually, with my son, is like his friends, his cousin will bring out this competitiveness in him that I cannot do it. And all of a sudden he'll get out on a football field with his cousin, and his cousin starts talking trash, and he is like running as fast as he can. And like, so I do believe the power of the peer, especially in high school. I mean, that's the age we all remember when all you care about are your friends and impressing them.
And I also think in high school, sometimes they just want to be there because of their friends. I mean, versus maybe a club ball. It's more the socialization. And so I feel like we need to, as high school coach, find out what is your goal? What do you want to do? And some of them, high school is the break. I'm not and say, do you want to be MVP of the league? Like, let's give you, what is your goal? And let's move that goal through, because we all know, I mean, I coached at, and I'm old, like my kids are older now, and I'm just coming back kind of helping out. And, but I coached at ASU, I coached at University of Virginia, I coached at University of Mexico. I mean, I'm coming kind of back into it a little bit. And so I've been out of the travel and the college scene with my boys and been doing the baseball thing. And they're different. They're a different breed. And here I come with this experience, and, I don't talk to them about, well, they talk about travel and club. I'm like, dude, I was with Orange County Baptisters and we used to kick everyone's ass all the time. And I get that idea. There's different things you can do, but I totally appreciate you, Jess. And I'm like, yeah, it's exactly it. It's exactly it.
No, but Terry, that's a good point.
But with the kid, yeah,
you're gonna get
it's
players
different.
With different goals.
It's different.
No, you're
and
right.
it definitely brought me back a little bit and go, how can you guys want to go freaking kick their ass? I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, if I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna put my energy into it. Let's work. Let's go. And they're like, oh, and they're like, one of the girls goes, I like your energy. I like your energy, Mrs. Patrick. I'm all, well, because that's what it is, right?
I love hearing
and
you
it's
girls
different.
talking about kicking ass and stuff like that. That's good stuff right there. That's the
All right.
Right there. Let's get
I gotta put kids to bed. They're literally
Are you in Korea right now?
No, I'm not in
you're
South
home.
Korea. It's
Oh.
actually pretty impressive. We're doing game homes. The play-by-play Shambi. He's in New York City. I'm in Oregon. Our producer is in North Carolina, and the games are in South Korea.
I've watched every night. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, no, they're
only
fun.
in the high-tech world of these days. I'm telling you, that's crazy.
Yeah, well, and we might be doing MLB games here soon this way too. So it'll.
Oh, my last senior's a freshman at Stanford, so she's doing a great job. She got started at second base all year.
What's her name?
Sydney
Oh
Steele.
yeah. Well, Chula Vista, as you guys know, with the Olympic Training Center, I lived there for a full year, leading up to, actually 2 different years. And my son lived with me there in Chula Vista. And, I feel like it was back in the day, like 2003, 2004, 2005, and there was nothing out there. And we loved it. It's grown, as you guys know more than me, ridiculous. It's insane. But when I hear Chula Vista, San Diego, that entire, just that, Chula Vista is particularly because San Diego is so huge, but that area, all I think about is just amazing softball memories, all the training. I mean, literally my sisters, my teammates living there for a full 12 months before the Olympic Games. It brings back so many good memories. So good luck to you guys. And I appreciate you guys letting me jump in. And I don't know if I helped in any way.
We really appreciate you joining us very much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Go Samsung Lions.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, Samsung Lions.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.
Well, that was cool.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good one, Mike.
She's
If
good
you
people.
want another Olympian, I have some friends that can talk. I mean, they're like all my Facebook friends because I'm back in the day of like Lisa Fernandez and like Julie. Julie Smith. I was just talking to. Her birthday was yesterday. I got some people. So if you get a hold of me, I can. Yeah. I'm sure I can get one of them to talk.
Cool. All right. Well, like I said, I said in my emails that we're going to take the next 2 weeks off. Next week I'm unavailable, and the week after that's Memorial Day, and the week after that. If you watched last year's World Series, remember the pitcher from Oklahoma State with the bat flip? Samantha Shaw? She's joining us in 2 weeks to talk about pitching. Bringing an expert pitcher in to talk to us a little bit. So, and then I told her she could brag about the bat flip. So that's going to be why she's going to come on and talk to us. So trying to make this interesting. Well, hopefully. I mean, that was pretty cool. So she stayed longer than I thought she was going to. So that was pretty cool. You guys hear me?
Well, thank you.
So we'll talk, Terry. We'll talk.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, just want to say
She's
thanks,
great.
Mike. Pretty cool stuff, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Hey, no problem. Hey, so anything interesting going on with you guys? We just found out we were able to collect our uniforms after 6 weeks, so that's happening this week. Anything?
Us too.
We're
Next week.
collecting ours on Thursday.
Okay, yeah, we're doing ours Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, finally. So
Wednesday for us.
We have
they're
to do
actually
it
letting me on
drive-by.
campus, so I can go check out how bad my field looks.
Oh my gosh, you guys, the grass is like to my
Oh,
You're not saying a lot because that grass is about 10 inches high in the outfield. I
oh,
drove by there the other day, Claremont, because I
is
live
that
right
the
there.
ugliest thing
Oh my
you've ever
God.
seen?
The weeds are like 10 feet high in center
Well,
field.
the worst
Baseball.
part about it is I mean, I got zero help from the district at the beginning of the season. So I literally spike drag, sprayed, dug up. I mean, you name it, I did it to get it ready for games. And then I look at that right now and it's like, what a waste.
I know.
yeah.
So bad.
I'm afraid to go up there and look.
Well,
Don't.
Lori, Mike, you know how I added the third field for the Hilltop tournament?
Yeah.
I had left all those three ready to go back to work. It pisses me off. I'm like, oh my God,
I don't even
it's
look.
terrible.
I got to go back there tomorrow, so we'll see.
My JV field is almost completely covered with grass. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, I mean,
Mine too.
I don't even know where the outfield cutout is anymore. It is so bad. I just,
You're not the only one, buddy.
What's the
frustrating.
process of your uniform pickup? Mike?
we're put all of your stuff in a bag. They're going to drive around the gym. We'll have some bins. Like they'll have like the varsity softball, JV softball, novice softball. They drive up, they hand their bag to me. I throw it into the bin and then let it decontaminate for 2 weeks, basically. That's basically the process. So everything goes in a bag and we check it off as they come out. That's so no contact, other than I'm guessing they might even give me like one of those trash picker uppers to grab the bag out of the car. So there's no hand-to-hand contact. So that's what we're doing.
I'm not picking anything up till next year.
We did. Yeah,
I got
we
all
did
my
ours
senior
this
stuff.
past week, and I just the thought how ours went. We did it last week, and we had we check out bags too and helmets and all that stuff. So my team mom has what they have, and they're that long, maybe 5-6 minutes, and they checked it off and handed it in. And some of the girls had some of their own personal gear in the bags, and so they took that with them, and it really went smooth. And out of 30 some kids, we had one jacket missing, and that's a pretty good average for that many kids. But it worked really smooth, and we had a better turnout. They had the whole PE department had their checkout also, and we only missed one kid, and they had like half of the PE kids never came back to get their gear. So I felt pretty good about it. Our kids they were very responsible. We made them wash their gear and everything, so we didn't decontaminate anything. I guess, Mike, maybe we should have, but they all had to bring it back washed, and they did a good job on the check-in. So it really went smoothly. I didn't, we kept this distance, and although we're still in the middle of school there, so there wasn't a lot of, softball talk at this point, but I sure missed him. I know that.
It's going to sit in there for a year.
Or is it?
No, we got what we did. We have
Crate,
bins
big
for our
crates.
uniforms. Our uniforms each has its own bin, and my team mom just put them in the proper bin, and then they're put away. So next year we can write out, and they're not all thrown together. No, the uniforms are separated out, and but that's why I have team moms do it. I used to try to do that, and I could never get the pants to fit right and the shirts to fit right. I have does that, and she's much better at it than I am.
Yeah, I was talking to John Moore about the same thing because I I got an email from our AD, and he said it has to happen after 3 o'clock, has to be in the front of the school. One family has to have their time slot, so they can't pass another family. I'm like, we have a locker room, behind our dugout,
Yes.
and the kids have their own lockers, and they have their own stuff in there. So what am I going to do? Pack up their stuff and meet them at the front of the school?
We had
Like,
ours.
can't I just do it my own way and
Yeah.
let them come down? And I'll sit in the pitcher's mound or something in my beach chair, open up the clubhouse, and they can come in, get everything out of their locker, hang up their uniforms, bring everything back, put their helmet away, clean everything up. I mean, I got 10 seniors out of the 16 kids, so anything they got in there, they're not. So you'll let me do it that way.
Yeah, Jim, we did that, and like I say, our kids came right down to the dugout and our container where all their lockers are. We did that, and it wasn't a problem. I mean, there wasn't any pile.
No.
And they were very, very responsible and did a good job.
We're doing.
I mean, we make them clean them all out
a table and drop it off. We'll check them off at the next table, and then give them their varsity letters or JV letters and send them on their way.
Yeah, I had nameplates. All the girls get a nameplate above their locker.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a baseball name. We don't use nicknames and Buffy or anything like that. So I give the seniors their nameplate. So I did that. And it's kind of all good.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to do. They'll go in there and they can just slide it out and take it with them, put all their stuff away, and then I don't have to deal with it. I mean, we make them clean it out like that every year anyway.
Yeah.
It's good bleach and everything else, clean it all up, so.
Lice spray.
Mike, can I
just
real quick? I thought Lori's question or her question was super interesting and super helpful. It would be helpful for me to hear from maybe a girl who's coming right out of college or currently playing college to kind of maybe address Lori's question about, hey, how do I go about that relating to it? I just did a pitch. I just graduated from a degree. My final paper was on the effects of poor leadership and just astronomical. 80% of student athletes believe that their coaches are more influential than their parents, than their teachers, than anyone else in their lives. And that is light the fire under those that don't already have a fire. If they're on the field, they have some sort of fire. Our job is not to put out the fire, not to snuff it, not to make it a place where they don't want to come, so they quit the sport altogether. So to me, those are things I would like to hear from some of these athletes to say, hey, what made you keep going? Because the ones that are playing at some of this level, they have that bonfire already loaded. They want to be the best. Just like she was saying, she was doing shuttle runs in the morning. I can't get mine out of bed before 7 o'clock. It's different, right? So it's a bonfire to a little flame. We have to be able to combine it and not put out that flame. In just my opinion, it's my first year at the high school level, and it was a struggle, just getting them to come together, because I had some that had the bonfire that wanted to go, and the other ones just couldn't go with them, and it makes it tough to balance that. So I would love to hear someone to address this question, if we could ask that of some of the athletes.
One thing for me is it's a culture, but I've been there a long time, and when you have a lot of turnover, and like Carrie's been at Escondido forever, I've been at Poway forever, seems like, so we developed a culture where the older kids teach the younger kids. And so you're going to have the ultra competitive kids, but you're also the young kids. But if there's an expectation of this is how we do things, this is how we play the game here, breakers, this is how we play the game here, and this is how we do it, this is how we practice, this is what we do, and it kind of just pulls those kids along. And so the older kids learn from when they're younger, they learn it from those older kids, and it's gotten to the point where I don't have to do anything anymore. I mean, they just kind of teach themselves, and we've got lucky enough to create that culture that this is how you do it here. And and that's really helped.
Yeah,
But
I'm not
having
saying that
female
how you do it is
coaches
wrong, but I think there's got to be a circumstance where, man, I had 22 girls come out for my team this year, JV and varsity, trying to make that work. Like it's tough to create a culture when everyone program that your program is only going to be so good for so long, so many players.
Right.
So like age out 9 players like you did, or 8 players, whatever it was. So like to hear like from players like, hey, what kept you going to practice? Hey, what, those to me, what were the things about your favorite coach? I don't need to know the name. If they want to share it, great. But what was it about your favorite coach that kept you wanting to play? Because I mean, some of these players could have played on better teams, but they went and played on, that travel team or that, went to that high school and didn't go to Mater Dei or whatever because they wanted to play for that coach. And what was it about that coach or when they selected their college, what was it about that college coach that made you want to go play for that person? And so for me, it would be helpful because I don't even know, do I possess any of those qualities? I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to practice and be in the Navy and try to manage it all at the same time. So for me, it'd be helpful if we could hear some of that from some of the.
Well, and like I said, in 2 weeks, Samantha, she just graduated last year from college.
Sure.
So she's 23 years old, 22. So I can send her some questions like to preface her or what she's going to say and say, hey, this is one of the things we like you to answer, because some of our coaches are interested in how you have that fire, through the lean times, and how do you keep that fire, no matter what team you're on. Because she actually transferred from Texas A&M and went to Oklahoma State. So so you know what? Why don't you send me an email, Tom, with your questions, and I'll forward that email to her and let her know, hey, these are some of the things that one of our coaches would like you to talk about.
Yeah, and again, just not mine, but anything else. But I imagine really good pitchers have the same attitude that just up to play they have when they're on the mound. So hearing from a pitcher be like, yeah, this girl has no chance of hitting the ball. Like, got it. But, that's where the struggle happens, right? The best pitchers, the elite pitchers. And it's really us trying to get to those girls that don't have the bonfire, that have that little, big lighter flame, that they're out on the field. And, it is because their friends are out there or because of other reasons. And we're trying to build programs with those young ladies. And we have to be able to build their experience through this because they may not play ever again. So for me, those would be more helpful things. And again, if I'm out of line and no one wants to hear that shit, then I get it. But that's for me as a new high school coach.
One thing I would tell you, Tom, is don't try to build a program overnight.
It is a little bit more difficult to. Yeah.
I have 2 really good.
And it is hard to being with the good players are always a good player.
For a couple of years. So if anyone wants a game next year, I'm already looking. I struggled writing the schedule this year, and some of you guys bailed me out, and I really appreciate you giving me games. Have 2 really good sophomore pitchers. We're going to be really good next year, and I'm not afraid to say it. So hopefully it won't be such a struggle this year when we're building that schedule because of this.
We're still scheduled for me. We were scheduled for this year. But
I appreciate it, Juan, man. I was looking forward to it,
Hey, so were we. Adam knows that.
Ayoshi, and she was ready to play Hilltop. She was all hyped up. And
be careful about advertising. You have great pitching, Tom, because Monty is in our neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
Get them. No, I want to exceed no matter where they play. I want them just to be successful.
I don't know if this would answer your question. Going to what Coach Kilpatrick was saying about, asking about, do you want to be all CIF? I don't think a lot of the girls know for the MVP of their league. And I think the travel ball, for instance, Stacy Chambers out here out at Grant Hills, she had an open shot at surpassing, I can't remember the gal's name now, for one of the best pitchers of all time at Granite. And she didn't fully understand that until her dad had asked me about the history of Grant Hills, and she heard me talking about it. So, I mean, I don't know if that, goes into answering your question. I don't know.
They had a lot of coaches that
Yeah.
know more about Granite Hills softball than the Granite Hills coaches do.
Well, yeah, no, sure, coach. And,
But it is that. It is that. It's, you know,
And for
you
those,
just, I don't know, it works that way. Go
and
ahead.
those players in high school that are not, maybe the most athletic and are still making the team, and they just are kind of like the community all-star kind of kid, so they're making the team, but they're not really moving on to the next level. Maybe they just want to be out there. Then you have to reach them at their level. And you want to, I think as a high school coach, you want them to leave having the best experience possible. Whatever that looks like for your program, you want them to look back at high school and go, I just played in high school, but it was like the funnest time of my life, because, they're not moving on, and they might be going to college, but they're not playing softball necessarily in college. So you also want to build that experience. And what does that experience look like for that kid? And that might, even if you're building good experiences for them, and giving them roles, and they're part of it in some way, they'll appreciate it. And that will be what, as an adult looking back on their high school softball experience, will be that connection of what you have as a coach with them during this time.
Well, we had
A lot of
we
kids
did.
at this time don't even understand CIF, like what that means. They don't get what it means until, oh, I got that award. I've been with Adam in those all selection committees.
yeah.
Number one, it's not fun.
No.
Number two, it's very it's a lot of work to decide who's making first and even second team. But I would suggest to every coach that doesn't make it to the finals, if you're trying to build that kind of team that you want to help build that fire, take them to the finals. Because when they're sitting there at UCSD and those stands are packed, if nothing else, if that's where you can go, you can at least
But
show
you mean
them the
actually take them to
energy
the game even.
that's there. And
Yes. Yes, I recommend that, coach.
I coached travel in other sports for a long time, and now I'm just straight high school, and I enjoy doing that, and I wouldn't change it for the world. It's probably the only reason I'm still teaching is to coach sports in high school. But the high school, that high school experience of making it to the finals or just participating in the playoffs and having that kind of from travel said to the emotion of high school sports has kind of taken a back seat for a long time. And I always tell you, when you look at TV and you're watching college ball, when they are identifying a player, they're not listing all their travel ball teams. They're listing what high school they went to and what they did at that high school. It's important. And as soon as kids start realizing that, it is important, then you're going to get that quality experience that, so many programs are getting at the high school level. And it takes a lot of work. But I think for me, seeing is believing. And if you can get them to that game and really just feel all that energy and that cheering and everything that's going on involved there, that right there is going to say, you know what, it's not just high school. I want to be there. I want to do that.
We did senior night because, we usually play RB at Lake Poway for the senior night, and we had 10. And so we did a Zoom like this for them. I had the florist to their house. Senior night. So that happened in the time when I was talking to a bunch of fans about them before we played the game against RB at Lake Poway. And I had talked to Haley Steele a couple of days before. She graduated in 2011, before she went to Arizona State years. And she wanted me to do something for her because she's trying to get into Auburn grad school or something. She wanted me to write a letter and a recommendation for her. But I told her oh yeah, this Thursday we go to play the lake. And long story short, she reached out to as many softball, Poway softball alums that she could find. And they all wrote these things for us to read to these seniors because they lost their season basically. And kids from like 2008, 2009, 2012, 10, 14 up into even the kids that graduated last year, seniors last year. And it was unbelievable, the things that they wrote about how much fun they had and how once you're a Titan, you're always a Titan. And, we have a saying on our beat, kids, whatever it is, one heartbeat. And they, explain to them that doesn't leave once you graduate from high school. Once you're there and you played there, you're an alumni of that. And that's how far it reached. And it was just so powerful. I mean, we're trying to read it, me and the assistant coaches, trying to read it without even getting emotional. And you could see on the screen that the kids are really getting emotional. And I think that's a big, like I said, Tom, before, that it's just a big part of the culture. But I've been there since '95. You just come up with something and it turn out. And I want to be someone that puts them on the map and gets them going so that no matter who's the 12 or 14 or 16 kids that you have every year, this is how we do things. This is what we do. We go to the playoffs every year. We compete for our league title every year. And it doesn't matter how many kids we graduate, doesn't matter how many new kids we got coming in. This is what we do. And, and it's worked for us kind of. And we get a lot of really good kids. That helps. But I think that's one thing that you just need to do, just in your own personality, just something that you can do to get them to think that it is more important,
I just want to say I'm blessed to have every single one of you every single Monday to be able to learn from each one of you, because it's about you, the season's over, each and every one of you, that you're continuing your programs and your players long after the season's been canceled. So I want to thank you for this kind of mentorship, because it's invaluable to me as a brand new high school coach. So thank you for that. I'm going to run to dinner. Mike, I appreciate everything, and I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Good, Tom.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So it's 8:30 or so. So they said we're going to take the next 2 weeks off. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Hope you all had a good Mother's Day for the moms here and the husbands of moms here. So we'll see you guys June 1st.
Right. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So
then it'll be Father's Day.
It'll be Father's Day. That's right. So yeah.
Talk about
so next, so we'll take next week off and the Memorial Day off, and then June 1st, and we'll make sure the link is good to go well ahead of time on the 1st. He said that Samantha will be joining us on the 1st at 7. I have some other guests lined up for the rest for weeks after that. So some interesting people, hopefully, and I think Sean Brashear is going to join us. So I know a bunch of you guys know him. Or know of him, so he's actually going to join us to talk to us about the travel high school link thing, since he actually coaches Modern Day up in LA now, or Santa Ana now. So, but anyway, thanks guys for joining us, and have a good week, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Right, good night, guys.
Mike, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Tim,
My pleasure. My pleasure, guys. Have a good night. Have a good night.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Mike.
Later.